My name is Janet Ferraro and I live in Santa Cruz, California. And I paint horses because I'm very passionate about this animal, this creature. All of my life I have felt like I have been calling to the horse, as if the horse is calling to me and I'm responding to that call. And so when I express myself with my artwork, I hope that my viewing audience sees the energy and the passion and the love that I have for this creature and responds to that. I was one of those children that the moment I got on my first pony, I was hooked.
That was it.
And all I did was beg for a horse or beg to ride, and never received one, but rode whenever I could. And I didn't buy my first horse till I was 26. So my first real experience with horses on a day-to-day basis is I was exercising polo ponies in Hawaii. And so a lot of galloping. A lot of galloping. Hang on. I've painted many things in my life, but I always come back to the horse. And when I decided to just paint the horse, it was like a big sigh of relief. It was like I heaved a sigh, as a horse will do. And I was like, oh yeah, I can just paint the horse. And I just felt so happy about that. I'm currently a horseless horse person. I have friends with horses and I do get to ride, but I'm a mom, and so my life is very centered around that. But this represents to me the wild horses, the horses running through the open space and being the wildness that they are, that true horse nature. I was a clothing designer for about 10 years and worked a lot with color and texture and form. And so when I decided to focus on art, I took life drawing and discovered that I really loved charcoal and the blending and how expressive charcoal could be for me as an artist. And that's what really led me into pastel, because pastel is so much drawing like charcoal, and blending with your fingers is very tactile. That is what led me to working with pastel, and I love the colors. I love how readily they apply. You don't have to stop and think about mixing the color on the palette so much as you just apply it to the paper and blend, and you can push colors back and move them forward real easily, and you can stay in the flow of being an artist without having to stop and think, okay, now I need to create this color of gray, which stops the creative process for me. So that is why I love pastel. Using the palette knife is very much for me like drawing, because you scoop the paint up and you apply it in a very free type of motion, which is very similar how I apply pastel, where I use the side of the stick. And so for this piece, Dancing Horse, I wanted it to show the movement of the horse and the colors that could flow through the body of work. I've owned several horses, but I'd say one of the polo ponies that I loved the most was Dakota. He was a little Palomino horse, and he'd just follow me everywhere, and he was just full of fire, and yes, that would probably be my favorite horse, if I had to say. I would say that the strength and the beauty and the elegance of the horse captured my heart long ago. They've been my friends, they've been my teacher, they've been a very important part of my life, and I've always just been fascinated with their movement and their presence and their power and the way they communicate with one another and the way they communicate with humans. I've been very blessed to be in their company and to see how much they like us. And I could never really figure out, why do they like people so much? Why do they like us so much? Why do they come to the gate and put their head out for the halter and say, sure, let's go, when they could easily toss us off and go the other way? And and I'm fascinated with how they're structured and the human being fits with the horse. And so when I paint horses, I hope that my work shows this passion and shows the energy, the movement, the grace, and the beauty that is so much the part of the horse for me.